How can you have no audio?
Hey, everybody, we got Mr. Brews next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Come join us. Let's kick it off.
Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. Welcome back on into the Sports Buffoons studios out here in Lenexa, Kansas. And there I am. All right, so we got the whole crew back together, you guys. We got Tanner Dawson over here, Mike here running it, and then Jason JG is back once again.
Yes.
Good to have him back.
Always great to
with
have him
the
back.
group. So
that's what I like to see.
How you feeling, Jason?
Feel great.
Yeah?
I'm ready to get it on.
That's
Your
good.
boy JG back up in the hizzle.
It's been like 3 weeks, but we're all back together once again to get some NFL and Chiefs talk going on with you guys.
That's right.
So we are pumped, and Thanksgiving is obviously, depending on when you're watching, it's either tomorrow or it's probably the day of.
The day of, yeah. It depends when you're watching,
so-
or it's past.
Yeah, potentially. But what are you guys planning for Thanksgiving?
I'm going out to the in-laws here to watch KU at 1:30, and then, of course, all the football games going on in between. So
Yeah, what's KU doing?
they got North Texas in
Yeah.
basketball.
You gonna shoot that round orange ball?
Hopefully we win by 30. So
Gotcha. What are you doing, JG?
You know, I think I'm going to start out just by getting a little bit drunk and then have some good Thanksgiving food, spend a little bit time with family, and then probably try to get drunk again afterwards.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's kind of the plan. I mean, football's on throughout the day, too, so you can get drunk, watch a little football, watch your NBA probably. I'm sure there's some good games going on.
Yeah, you got to watch the NBA.
All that good stuff. Now, we have a lot of topics here, though, guys. We got to talk about, obviously, some AFC. We're talking about some fantasy. We're talking about the Chiefs a little bit here, of course. And we got to tell you a little bit of hot seats. So we got some guys in the NFL right now that are on the radar, potentially to be let go of their respective teams here shortly.
that's right.
So we'll see how some of those things plan out, but we will discuss that here later on, and as well as our top 5 power rankings list in the NFL right now. We have a lot of changes that have gone on in the NFL the last few weeks. It's been a weird past 3 weeks in the league where you're seeing upsets of like Houston beating Tennessee, and then obviously other games have come along. They were just surprise wins. Dolphins beat the Ravens last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. Stuff like that. It's kind of weird stuff that doesn't make sense to a lot of people. So anyways, you guys, first things first, Tanner, want to talk a little stardom sit-em?
Yeah, I'd say let's do our fantasy football topics for the day.
Fantasy football topic. Now, you're either going to love this or you're going to hate it, because either you were in the dumps like JG, our boy, who's sitting – I'm not going to say your record on there. That's not very nice. But, at this point, you probably don't care about fantasy. Now, if you're in the mix or if you're at the top of your league, then it's probably something you want to pay attention to, because we have some insight over who you should be starting or sitting this week, depending on if you have them on your team. These are going to be guys that are not your typical obvious starters, so keep that in mind. Tanner, you want to kick us off with a couple guys you have in mind?
Yeah. Should we hit it off with Josh Jacobs going against the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow for the Thanksgiving game? We saw them recently against the Chiefs, right? We saw them last week. The Chiefs took care of business. I felt Clyde and Darrell got a pretty strong push against these guys. But I don't feel like the Raiders' offensive line is as dominant as the Chiefs' offensive line. So you're not going to see that push from that offensive line. So for me, guys, this is a pretty easy sit if you have another opportunity to play a different guy by far. Because I don't feel Josh Jacobs is going to be that factor, especially in the passing game as well.
Yeah, I think Jacobs sucks at this point. Guy's averaging like 3.5 yards a carry. His longest run of the entire season is 15 yards, and that's pretty disgusting. So this is a guy that I think if you have him still on your team, you're probably pretty disappointed in the outcome that you've got. I had him at one point, and I traded him away because I was tired of the dead weight. I ended up grabbing James Robinson.
And even if you look at it here, the passing game the last 2 games is probably fine. 5 receptions or 5 targets, 7 targets the last 2 games. But his rushing attempts are abysmal. 7 rushing attempts for 16 yards, 2.29 a yard carry, and then 9 carries for 37 yards last week against Cincinnati. That's not going to do you points at all.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake's a better player at this point. It's just disappointing to see how that's fallen off so quickly. So.
Yeah, and it's not just about, Josh Jacobs. It's about the Raiders in general. It's a lot of those fantasy players outside of Darren Waller. You're not going to be able to trust any of those guys on a week-to-week basis. It's just going to fluctuate up and down every single week.
Waller's the one guy you probably trust, obviously every week. But ever since they fired John Gruden, that team's not been the same. So that's the fact. Whatever way you want to look at that. But Michael Pittman going against the Buccaneers. So the Colts wide receiver, Michael Pittman. I love Pittman. He has been one of my favorite guys to kind of watch grow throughout his career. If you had a better quarterback, then that guy would be putting up already 1,000 yards maybe. Now he's got 9 games of double-digit points for fantasy. But the Bucs here, they're going to put up points as well, I think. Tom Brady's probably going to go do his thing depending on if Antonio Brown is back and healthy with the team once again. Whether it's a fake vax or not, that's remains to be seen. But he's going to be on the field as long as he's healthy. So I think the Bucs are going to force the Colts into passing situations, though. They still have a great run defense. Now, Jonathan Taylor, obviously, is the best runner in the entire league. So there's a chance that JT goes out and still has a good game, but they might want to get more involved in the passing game. So, but anyways, I still see Pittman having a solid week, whatever the case may be here. And he's definitely going to be a stardom. I don't care if you have a 3-receiver league, 4-receiver league, whatever happens. I say put him in your lineup. He'll get you, I'm looking at minimum 15 points this week.
Yeah, I would say definitely start him for this week. Just the fact that Tampa Bay's run defense is so elite. Jonathan Taylor, yes, he is going to be a factor. He will be another guy that probably gets about 100 yards on it. But it's to win this game for the Colts here, they're going to have to pass the ball. And Michael Pittman's going to be part of that. Now, last week he only had 2 receptions on 5 targets. He had multiple 5-target games back-to-back. But I anticipate he's going to see a little bit more action this week with Tampa Bay's defense the way it is against the run game.
Yeah. Taryn, do you have a question, by the way?
It's just, we can talk about it when we get closer to the Thanksgiving part. But
Gotcha.
AC just wants to know which game we're going to show you dinner through.
Oh, definitely the first one.
Yeah, early as possible.
That first game is going to be terrible. So I would definitely watch the Raiders-Cowboys, but the first game of the day, it's not worth watching.
So what do you think about this Michael Pittman situation? Do you think he's going to see some points or start him or what?
Yeah, I would definitely start Michael Pittman in this game. I mean, I totally agree with you guys on that. But for my start guy, I got to talk about Cam Newton, not just because I got desperate and had to put him on my team, but because he's got a great matchup this week against Miami. Miami's won 3 games in a row, which is hard for me to believe. But
they've turned it on this week.
They've
been on fire.
They're definitely due for a letdown this week. And, Cam's back on the Panthers. And Miami is allowing the 6th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks this year. So Cam is going to be a start for me this week. I think it's going to be fairly disastrous for the Miami Dolphins.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd if you're looking at a bye week situation right now, I would definitely be a starter. I wouldn't put him necessarily over any other maybe top 15 quarterbacks right now, but as a energy boost to this Carolina team, which was really needed at this point in the season, especially with McCaffrey coming back. I'd say he would be in the talks as a start for this one, especially during bye weeks that are going on.
I'm going to go no because there's just too much up in the air with him right now, and so he might go out there and have 3 picks, or he could have 3 touchdowns. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're going to get the rushing game, right? So you get
Sure.
the rushing game along with the possible passing ability that could go on here.
Sure, but he's always had that. That's nothing different.
Yeah.
I don't trust it. I don't like Cam this week. He's got to kind of prove it over time before I say he should be worthy of being starting on any fantasy team, because it's almost playoff time, you guys. We don't have time to screw around and lose games because Newton wanted to have a game that we only got 5 points. So that is my thought.
That's fair.
Who is Galladay, guys? Kenny Galladay?
I got Galladay, dude. And, it's kind of like he seems to be a guy that if he was on a different team, you would be able to trust him on a week-to-week basis. But the problem is he plays for Joe Judge and the Giants. And, his coach probably going to get fired at the end of this year.
Daniel Jones is throwing to him. Saquon's back.
It's a bad situation. So the coach sucks. It's not a great matchup anyway against Philadelphia, who is a top 2 defense against fantasy wide receivers. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to bench Galladay this week.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's just been disappointing since he came off his injury with the Raiders. He's played 55% of the snaps his first game off the injury versus the Raiders, 76% of snaps versus Tampa Bay last week, with only two targets and one reception. And that's just not good. That's not going to do you anything as a fantasy owner. I would bench this guy because he is going against a pretty solid secondary has been recently against the receivers as well. So, yeah, I'm with you, Jason. I'd sit him.
Yeah, I don't trust him whatsoever. I mean, the guy's been under kind of a bust since he got to the Giants in the first place. So, overall, for me, he was better as a Lion, believe it or not. It's amazing your career actually gets worse after the Lions, but he's managed to do it.
Right?
So,
you think escaping the Lions would help your career.
That's normally what happens for everybody, but apparently Kenny Galladay, it's not working out.
And the Giants just don't know how to use players, which is very sad.
Yes, that's correct.
That is true.
Now, what about Russell Gage? He's going against the Jags this week. Kind of an inconsistent guy week to week. He had eight targets last week, 5 receptions, 49 yards, 9.8 yards a catch, which is kind of nice. But he was part of 74% of snaps last week, 65 versus Dallas the week before, and 81% versus New Orleans. Now we're going against the Jaguars here, who isn't the best defense out there, let alone the offense. So it should get plenty of time to get some points here. For me, I would say there's a lot of promise in this game for him, especially Matt Ryan. And you don't really have a lot of targets anyway to begin with. I'd say Russell would probably be a start for you this week.
Yeah, for me, it depends on how deep your roster is as far as who you have to start. Russell Gage is one of those guys that's frustrating because last year he was actually one of Matt Ryan's favorite targets, especially on third down. He played a lot of slot. And this year he is just not being involved in the offense whatsoever here until like last week. So he's very frustrating, but I like the matchup going against the Jaguars. And I like the circumstance because he's going to get more playing time by default. And so I think with that said, if you have a 4-receiver option in your fantasy team, then I give him a start.
Yeah, I'm going to sit Russell Gage here, only because I just think that the Jaguars, they're not going to be able to score that much. And I think this is definitely, if you've got Cordell Patterson, he's going to explode in this game. But I think it's going to be a Patterson game. Russell Gage, not necessarily going to have to do that much against this Jaguars team. So I'm going to sit Russell Gage this time.
I like it. All right, guys, for our final one here, I do want to just get a small discussion here because it is kind of a tough one, especially deep leagues, right, such as ours. The Jets have an interesting situation at running back happening. Michael Carter's injured. No Joe Flacco. No Mike White. Sam Darnold still he should play, but is still up in the air. Do you trust a Tevin Coleman or Ty Johnson for a deep league and possibly starting if you have to go that route, or do you just avoid that situation altogether?
No, I mean, I'm not going to start shitty players on shitty teams. So for me, it's like if I have any kind of Jets, then I'm doing something wrong anyway. Tevin Coleman, we all know what he is by now. That career is about done. Ty Johnson, the guy's averaging 3.4 yards per carry.
Yeah. Don't
expect to get a lot out of him. I guess if I had to pick one over the other, I'm going to go Ty Johnson. He's younger, a little more approved, but otherwise, like, the whole situation sucks. I'd rather don't start either one.
Guys, if you want advice about desperation moves, I'm 1-10 right now. I will never start a Jets running back this entire year. It's not going to happen. Like, I understand people are desperate, deep leagues, you got to find someone to throw in there. I don't care how desperate you are not starting a Jets running back. Just don't do it. I'm going to sit all those guys.
That sounds fair to me, guys. So it's kind of our fantasy matchup, guys, for start sit. Please post any questions you do have, and we will answer throughout the show as well. Like I said, we're always open to listening in and seeing how we can help your fantasy team succeed. So should we jump into some NFL conversation, guys?
Of course.
All right, guys. So NFL going on, right? There's a lot of situations going on. Can we just talk for a minute? Like, we're going into week 12 here. I have an 18-week league, and the AFC seems to be a big old pile of mess right now. Does it feel that way though? Like there's so many teams that could be in contention still versus the NFC.
It's been difficult to choose one top team for the AFC this whole season because there's been moments where you thought maybe it was the Titans. The beginning of the year we all thought Chiefs, and then we had a moment where the Chiefs we thought maybe weren't even in the top 10. Some people might have thought that.
Yeah.
And then the AFC is a weird mixed bag where like anything could happen because these top end teams in the AFC are losing to the bottom end teams in the AFC, like the Bills losing to the Jaguars. Just weird stuff like that.
The Titans losing to the Jets and the Jags.
And the Titans.
Or the Texans. Sorry. Texans, yeah.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that's going on.
So the AFC is a weird mixed bag, but it's getting wilder as time's gone on. With these last few weeks for the NFL is just wacky and you never know what to expect. I mean, my pick'em leagues, obviously.
Yeah.
I ended up tying for the win in the pick'em league, which that's cool. But I picked the Titans thinking, how could they lose to the Texans? But they found a way to do it. And, I don't care if you have Derrick Henry or not. If you're losing to the Texans, you're doing something wrong. And Tannehill threw, 4 picks, maybe 3 or 4. But
4 picks.
Jeez, that was insane. I think that it's something to watch because it's going to be fun towards the back stretch of the season, especially with us being Chiefs fans.
Yeah.
Because right now we are, in my opinion, back as the top dog in the AFC. We have the best defense in the besides maybe the Patriots in the AFC right now at the moment, playing at least the hottest over the past 5 or 6 weeks. And offensively, they're a team where they can score 40 or 50 on you if they need to, but we're proving we can now win games in the teens as well. So kind of one of those things where we can win in a variety of different ways depending on what we need. So anyways, what all is your thoughts on the state of the AFC?
I mean, I just look at the whole NFL here, and this is kind of a bizarre year because
it really is.
When I look at the NFC, we all know who the best 4 teams are. I mean, there's really not a lot of debate on the NFC, which is kind of odd because in previous years, the NFC has been pretty bad, but we kind of know who the best 4 teams are in the NFC. But when you move over to the AFC, it's kind of like you don't even know who the best team is.
No,
so you can pick 1 through 4 pretty easily in the NFC, but when you move to the AFC, you can't even pick number 1. But I will tell you guys that in Vegas, the Chiefs are the favorite right now to win the NFC.
Okay.
After all of their, dog shit games to start the year, the Chiefs are the actual favorite right now to win the NFC. So basically, nobody has a clue about the AFC right now, but the NFC is pretty well set in stone. So that's the biggest thing that, jumps out at me in terms of both conferences.
So one thing the Chiefs haven't done, though, is lose to bad teams, whereas all these other teams in the AFC have all lost to bad teams across the board. I mean, the Ravens lost to the Dolphins at one point, too, so let's keep that in mind. Chargers have actually lost most of their games to pretty decent teams overall, but the games the Chiefs lost were to the Titans,
winning
Bills,
teams.
Chargers, Ravens. And, it's not like we're out there going around losing to the Jets or the Texans. That's not what the Chiefs do. And, we don't lose to bad teams.
We're beating the teams we're supposed to beat.
Yeah, exactly. So, if nothing else, Jason, you and I talk about it all the time where, it's hard to beat a team, once in the regular season and then again in the postseason. Well, the Chiefs are behind the 8 ball now, so we got all of our losses out of the way. So in the postseason, when that comes around, Chiefs are going to be, you're going to beat them twice in 1 year. That's unlikely, I would say, for most teams.
For me, it's all about peaking at the right time. So defense on the Chiefs, play like shit. Offense, play like shit. Now all of a sudden you have a situation where the rest of the AFC is playing like shit. Chiefs defense is unbelievable right now. And if you can find a scenario where the Chiefs offense actually starts to peak at the right time, end of the regular season, playoffs, now all of a sudden you're in a situation where if you're another AFC team, you're not going to be sleeping at night if you have to dream of playing the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, so let's go through here and break it down. Just do a quick rundown between these AFC divisions, guys, going on. And let's start up top here with where New England is running the show once again in that division. New England with a 5-game win streak. Now upcoming here, they do got the Titans, they got the Bills, they got the Colts, they got the Bills, they got the Jags, and they got the Dolphins. that's a tough schedule to maintain a 5-game win streak there. But, I mean, do you guys see the New England Patriots keeping a lead here? Or do you see the 3-game win streak over there, Miami, maybe surpassing Buffalo and New England and making this a 3-way, possibly division at the end?
Well, I just want to say I think the Patriots have by far the best defense in the AFC right now. They have the most points I guess I should say fewest points per game allowed. And even over the past 6 weeks, they're slightly ahead of the Chiefs in that regard. And then offensively, Mac Jones is really coming to his own as well. So they're getting a mixture of the good running game coming through between a few different guys. Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, of course, is back from his injury. And, the receivers are starting to make plays when they need them. Kendrick Bourne gets involved. Even Nelson Aguilar seems to make plays every once in a while. So, and Kobe Myers,
Jacob Myers.
They got overall a good group going on. Reminds me a little bit of the early days of Brady with the Pats back in like 02 range, when basically his receivers were all pretty much average, and he had a decent running game and then an elite defense. And this is exactly what they're doing right now with the Patriots, is an elite defense with a pretty decent running game and then a bunch of average receivers with a pretty heady quarterback right now. So Mac Jones is coming along strong. I like the Patriots a lot, and I think this is a team, if they finish as the 5 seed going into the playoffs, you don't want to play them. You don't want to deal with them if you're the 4 seed in the AFC. It's not going to be fun for you.
And I'm glad that you brought up Tom Brady in the early 2000s, because that was so long ago that nobody remembers that. Everybody thinks, we think back in history that Tom Brady was just a god his whole career. That wasn't the case. I mean, those defenses carried those teams, and that's how I feel that the Patriots are doing right now.
Brady was always clutch, but really the defenses in the Corey Dillon of Kevin Falk, guys like that is what really that offense was built around.
And I just feel that the Patriots are doing the same thing all over again. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady. I'm not going to say that. But the Patriots right now are giving a master class on how to develop a quarterback, because they have a great defense, really good offensive line, and all they're going to tell Mac Jones right now is, we don't need you to win a game. We just need you to not lose. And the Patriots, guess what, guys? They're going to lose more games this year. But at the same time, if I'm sitting there, it's kind of like the Chiefs. If I have to sit there and go up against the Patriots in a playoff game, I want no part of that if I'm another AFC team. Same thing, Patriots and the Chiefs, for me, are the top 2 teams right now in the AFC.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Now, something to think about, too. We know the Bills will be the next team in contention, right? They also have a pretty difficult schedule as well these next few weeks. But look at the Dolphins here real quick. They have a 3-game win streak, right? They got coming up here the Panthers, the Giants, the Jets again, right? Those should be 3 easy wins for a team like this being hot. The Saints really aren't much of a competitive team right now with Trevor Siemian leading the way. The Titans could be on their way downfall right now. And so then you're left with the Patriots on the final game for Week 17. So, I mean, we could be looking at a Week 17 matchup here for possible a playoff seed, let alone wildcard berth or division winner, as Buffalo is also struggling with some of these teams. So it's just kind of an interesting division that we didn't really think would be interesting this year. Turns out it could be exciting, guys, in the next 5 weeks. AFC North, we got the Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. Ravens are up on this one, 7-3 as their record. Bengals right there at 6-4 with the Steelers at 6-4, and then the lonely Browns at 6-5. Steelers 6-4. So I just don't see this being much of a contention outside of the Ravens and Bengals. I don't think the Steelers can continue to be consistent enough to stay in the talks of even a wild card berth. We know the Browns are beat up to God knows what. So, what do you guys think coming out of this division here?
What, the AFC South?
AFC North. AFC North. Ravens,
well,
Bengals,
the Browns suck. So that's all you need to know about the Browns. They're not in the mix, in my opinion. Yeah. It's between Baltimore and Cincinnati. And so when I look at those 2 teams, I have Baltimore ranked higher in the AFC as we move forward, and it's only because of their coaching staff. I trust that coaching staff because of their experience. They got a Super Bowl winning coach, and as much as I believe in Joe Burrow to eventually be an elite quarterback in this league, I don't believe in them to do any damage in the playoffs this year. I don't, even if they win the division and get lucky, I still believe in Baltimore more than I believe in the Bengals.
Absolutely. I mean, Baltimore should win that thing. Bengals are going to make the playoffs. That's fine. To me, Steelers and Browns are out. I'm a big proponent or big fan of basically your score differential. So at the end of the year, you can look at your score differential, points versus points allowed. For instance, right now, Patriots are sitting with a point differential of 123 positive over the threshold right there. Where like the Browns, even though they're 6-5 on the season, they're actually -7 right now is their point differential. So they're actually scoring less overall than what they're allowing. So that's something I just like to look at, where the Ravens and Bengals both are well over their point differential range, over that 500 mark.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you there too. Like the Ravens Bengals are the only two out of this division here. If you look at coming up the schedule for the Ravens here, they got the Browns twice, the Steelers twice, Rams, Packers, and the Bengals are your three teams they have to worry about. I like the Ravens definitely coming out of this division here, just with that kind of schedule there. As we move here, let's move on down to the AFC South. Obviously, there's only two teams that are even in contention to come out of this one. The Titans and the Colts obviously are leading the top. Texans and Jags at the bottom. Now, obviously, we see the Colts being one of the hot teams in the NFL right now with a 3-game win streak as well. But they've kind of come out of nowhere. Jonathan Taylor is a madman at rushing right now. The defense has kind of stepped up to where they need to be. Carson Wentz isn't playing awful by any means, but he's doing enough to help them win. Like, what are we seeing coming out of this division? Do we see the Colts surpass the Titans at the end of the year?
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, the Titans need to prove themselves now without Derrick Henry and what they're capable of. I think the Colts right now, they're catching fire. They realize JT is the best running back in the entire league that's playing right now.
5 TD.
And my goodness, I mean, I don't run him into the ground by any means, but the Colts have a pretty decent defense to go along with a great ground game. And then as long as Wentz doesn't turn the ball over, that's a really, really good team. I think they could overtake the Titans for the AFC South, but it's too early to tell for me. I'm not going to for sure say that.
Yeah, it's definitely a toss-up division. I will give you that. But I think ultimately what I look at is that the coaching staff of Tennessee, I mean, if I have to give the edge to somebody, it's going to be the Titans. I believe in their running game. Obviously, on the Colts side, I do believe in Jonathan Taylor. He's a fucking monster. But if I just had to take my pick, I would still take the Titans to figure this thing out and win the division.
And I don't hate the Titans' schedule either. Patriots, which will be tough. Jags, Steelers, 49ers are pretty easy games. Dolphins, depending how they come out, swinging towards the end. And then you finish the season with the Texans, where you just got upset. I don't think you're going to get upset twice. Now, the issue with the Titans here is they have about, I want to say the last count was 28 guys on IR right now. So it's tough. It's tough to win.
It's kind of like my fantasy team.
It's
kind of
like
how many guys I have on IR.
So that's a little tough there. And then just FYI for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, he is the only guy that has surpassed Derrick Henry since he went down in the rushing yards stats. So everybody else is still behind Derrick Henry going into Week 12 past 3 weeks. So and then finally, guys, we dig into the AFC West, our division here as Chiefs fans. Chiefs back on top. After one game, we're back on top. With that win against the Raiders. But the Chargers are right there with us with their win against the Steelers. The Raiders and the Broncos, of course, wrap up the bottom tier. What do we see coming out of this division? We know it's going to be competitive in the games, but the Chiefs seem to have turned it on at the right time with the 4-game win streak going in. As again, one of the hottest out there right now. I'm hoping to continue, but what do you guys see going on?
You guys know I love this stat, points per drive allowed. I've been following along that stat all year long, and I had my little rant a month and a half ago about how bad the defense was and how it was on pace to be the worst defense of all time. Well, I mean, it's funny how things change so quickly at times. And right now in the past 6 weeks, the Chiefs do have the number 2 defense in the entire league, right behind the Patriots. They actually are down to 1.45 points allowed per drive. And that right now would actually put them, if we were to look at every team right now, still just behind the Patriots for the entire season, if they were to stay at that pace. So it's very possible this defense is peaking at the right time, and Spagnuolo's doing what he always does and finds a way to get these guys going towards the back half of the season. And so, really this was an addition by subtraction situation. I think getting Sorensen off the field more, Ben Neiman off the field more, adding in Willie Gay, stuff like that has really made an impact on this team. And, of course, moving Chris Jones back to the inside at D-tackle, his natural position, gets 3.5 sacks. I mean, the defense it's had to sort itself out, and we're at that point right now where it's pretty much figured out what we need to be doing and where guys need to be lined up at. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs should win this division now at this point, now that they got the lead. Obviously, the Chargers play a game this week. They could come and be 7-4 with the Chiefs. If the Chargers get a victory, then I believe they take back over with that tiebreaker as the number one in the AFC West for a moment. And so one thing, like I told you guys, the point differential, Chiefs are plus 31 on the season. The Chargers, even at 6-4, are actually -5. So they've actually allowed 5 more points than they have.
They've had some bad losses, too.
So they've had some blowouts at times and stuff like that. Yeah. So what's funny is the Broncos are actually plus 17. So the defense has been really good, but that offense is terrible. Yeah. So
what do you got, Jason?
I think the most interesting thing to me is the fact that when I look at the AFC West, it's not a whole lot different than when we had this conversation before the year started. I still have the Chiefs number 1 in the division. I actually have them number 1, and Vegas has them number 1 in the AFC right now. But I still have the Chargers as the second best team in the division. I put them right between Buffalo and Cincinnati in my AFC rankings. So I've got Buffalo at 5, Chargers at 6, Cincinnati at 7. And the reason I put the Chargers in the mix right there is because, Justin Herbert, I think he's a little bit better talent than Joe Burrow, and that's why I put Cincinnati at number 7. But, I mean, the thing about the Chargers is they're always going to be a threat. It doesn't matter if you're talking about an AFC West game. You can throw them into any game. They're always going to be a threat, and it's not necessarily a team that I would want to be facing. If the Chargers are sitting there at a 6 or a 7 seed, and all of a sudden, I've got to play them, let's just say the Titans, for example, as a 3 seed, I want no part of the Chargers in the playoffs because they can beat anyone at any time. So Chargers for me are still at number 2, just kind of like I think a lot of people had at the beginning of the year.
I like it. And then stick around, guys. We'll definitely have more Chiefs talk towards the end of the show here. Of course, we will get into the Chiefs' upcoming bye week and then kind of what we look forward to kind of going on here. So, but hey, let's jump into these hot seats that are going on in the NFL right now. All right, so there's a couple interesting situations going on in the NFL. I do want to break this news real quick here. According to sources, George McCaskey reiterates Matt Nagy won't be fired after Thanksgiving game. So we'll have to see. Time will tell if this comes true because there's been tons of chants. We've all heard it, especially at
the Bulls game. They were chanting to fire Nagy.
The Bulls games, his kid's high school game, which is that's just disrespectful. But this all that's going on. But he reiterates. Now, Jason, let's talk about the interesting situation that broke the news today. Jason Garrett fired, right? Fired today for that horrible offense he has in the Giants after his split with the Cowboys here. Joe Judge, of course, could be on the hot seat possibly. Hopefully they don't after 2 years, fire another coach, because that's what they've done the last 2 coaches, is after 2 years, you're gone. Who is exactly responsible up there in New York right now?
I mean, does anybody really care? I've listened to this all day long. Jason Garrett got fired. Does anybody really care about that?
No, because who's taking over calling plays, right?
Who cares?
Freddie Kitchens, the old Browns head coach, is now taking over play calling.
Seriously, who cares? Nobody cares. Even if you're a New York Giants fan, that Jason Garrett got fired.
Oh, no. Nobody cares.
And the reason why nobody cares is because they want everybody out of there. And I agree with the fans. They all need to go. Gettleman, Joe Judge,
Barkley,
they all
Jones,
need to go.
They want them gone.
But guess what? Here's my whole thing, guys. The Giants have 11 draft picks in the upcoming draft. So if you can figure out a way, like if the owner will pull his head out of his ass, and hire a new GM, I'm all about Louis Riddick. I'm a Louis Riddick fan. I'm not going to deny it. I don't know what you guys think about him, but if I'm a guy coming in as a new general manager, if they can hire Louis Riddick coming in with 11 draft picks, get rid of Daniel Jones, because I I don't care about Jason Garrett. I want the quarterback gone. I want the coach gone. I want the GM gone. I want to bring Louis Riddick in with those 11 draft picks, and I want to start fresh.
Yeah.
So I just looked it up here. So you're telling me this guy is 17-38 with the New York Giants.
17-38. There we go.
How quick did we
Back to the
can
Royals.
our guy back in 08?
Pioli?
Yeah, Pioli.
I mean, he went from 08 to, I guess it would have been
What, 12?
to 12 is what his last season was.
That's ridiculous. That's just that's awful.
Actually, I believe it was 09.
Now,
It was 09 to 12.
Now, obviously, you don't care, but do you loop Joe Judge into the Gettleman category? If you get rid of him, do you get rid of Judge? I say no.
The fans want everybody gone. I can tell you right now, that fan base, they don't care. I mean, if you keep on, they could keep Jason, Garrett. I mean, they don't care. They want everybody gone. They want to start fresh. And I'm just throwing this out there when I say Louis Riddick, because I think that he could give them a legitimate chance at having a good 3 to 5 year run if they throw him in there. But the guys that are there right now, dude, that fan base doesn't care. They don't care about any of those guys. They want everybody gone. Daniel Jones, the whole thing. And you could probably trade Daniel Jones and get like a second or a third round pick, and just start fresh. I don't care. Maybe they try to bring in Russell Wilson. Maybe they try to bring in, this is kind of a long shot. Maybe they try to bring in Aaron Rodgers. But even if here's the thing, dude, even if you bring in a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, just for 1 or 2 years, if it doesn't work out, they will have already loaded up that roster with all those draft picks. It's going to be a good team. But you got to clean house because Gettleman's been there. I know he's only been there since 2017, but he's been there forever.
He was coming off of a losing squad in Carolina. They had that one Super Bowl season, and then he what was it? 2 years later, he leaves for the Giants job, which is already a losing situation. Like why is the Giants even still in this place? Is what I want to know about.
The whole organization is a disaster. That's why you need to start over.
I don't want to discuss it this show, but why is the New York situation so bad outside of baseball?
I refuse to talk about the Jets on this show.
The Jets,
I don't care about
Knicks,
the Jets.
Giants. Why is the three main teams outside of the Yankees?
No, and the thing is that throughout most of the history of the NFL, the Giants and the Jets have both been shitty. So it's not like anything new.
They have
it's not like
a small period.
Every franchise goes through phases, where they have ups and downs. The Broncos obviously had their phases where they're doing well with Elway, goes down a little bit when they had Brian Griese, back up again when they get Peyton Manning, down again whenever Peyton Manning retires. And that's normal. Chiefs have been the same thing. Chiefs have had situations where, we have a very successful franchise, guys get old, leave, and then in 08 happens, we have a whole reset where we had, I think, 12 or 13 draft picks.
Yeah. Ended
up taking Jamal Charles in that draft class, Brandon Albert, to name a few. And so then over time, that team kind of gets back to where they could end up winning again after Pioli ended up leaving, obviously. But, over time, then Andy Reid comes along and boom, the Chiefs are back up again. Most teams go in waves where, if you're a Jets fan or a Giants fan, you're just kind of screwed all the time. And, I don't know what to think about these New York teams or why, but it has a lot to do with ownership. It all starts from the top down with these teams, and that's why the Chiefs are successful, because Clark Hunt cares. He's proven he cares. Lamar Hunt cared too, but he's also a little too loyal to certain people like Jack Stedman at one point within the organization. He had a hard time firing his friends. And so, he'd hold on to dead weight, where I think Clark is quick to be like, hey, you guys, the fan base just flew a banner over the stadium saying to fire Pioli. And so guess what? We're going to fire Pioli. Clark does what he thinks is in the best interest of the team. And he's not afraid to be a little cutthroat when he needs to be. And same thing with these New York teams, they need to do that. They need to get rid of deadweight quick, but also find guys who know what the hell they're doing. I mean, don't just hire any bum off the street. Find guys with a history, with a background, proven success record, and, also maybe be involved in the construction of that team. One of the Clark Hunt's wishes whenever Andy was brought on was that he would be involved in everything Andy Reid did. And that's something I think he wanted to be involved in it because he wanted to make sure things were being ran properly within the organization. Same thing with these teams. They need to start doing that. Blow it up. I'd say, maybe keep Saquon Barkley around because, it's still a good talent whenever he's healthy. But otherwise, I mean, Daniel Jones is probably not the answer at this point, but also you're giving him bums out there to work with too. So it's hard to say how good Daniel Jones can be. He might end up being a Ryan Tannehill in the future. It's hard to say right now because what he's got to work with is trash coaching, trash offensive line, trash skill players around him, and a trash defense. What are you supposed to do anyway?
Yeah, Daniel Jones is just the next guy among a long line of quarterbacks who have had potentially his career ruined.
Yes,
and I think for me, the threshold for a head coach and maybe even a general manager should be 3 or 4 years, and you're gone. I mean, if you're going to make decisions and coach like an ass, you need to go, and that's it.
Yeah. All right, real quick, round table. Let me know your thoughts here. You're going to get rid of Gettleman, you're going to get rid of Judge, or you're going to get rid of both? What's your call?
Both of those guys and Daniel Jones.
Gone.
Yeah.
Saquon too?
Well, no. You can't get rid of it. It's not Saquon's
Everybody
fault.
wants to get rid of Saquon, apparently.
No.
What do you got,
Mike?
Mike?
His fault.
Get rid of the three.
Get rid of 3?
Yeah.
I'd say go out and get a vet guy, keep Judge, get a new GM, obviously, and go get a new quarterback, and I think you'll be fine. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers right there. Devontae Adams is a free agent.
Draft.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Go get A-Rod. Go get Devontae. Team him up with the Giants.
Does Devontae want his career to be ruined too? He'll get paid, sure, but you're not going to put up numbers.
Kenny
anymore.
Galladay style.
You're not going to put up numbers if you go to the Giants.
Dude, just throw in Jimmy Garoppolo, who's an excellent game manager. You've got 11 draft picks in the next draft. Just load up the rest of the roster and throw Jimmy G in there and see what he can do. If it doesn't work out, well, screw it, dude. You just get another quarterback the next year because it's probably going to be a better quarterback class anyway.
Right. All right, guys. Before we move on to our Chiefs conversation here, you had a Thanksgiving topic, right?
Well, I just want to know what you guys are going to have for Thanksgiving.
Oh, what we're going to have?
Do you have plans for all that? Do you guys like to eat stuffing and crap like that? Because that is one of the shittiest choices for Thanksgiving meals.
Stuffing and dressing, however you call it, is delicious.
Dressing?
It's however you call it. People call it dressing. People call it stuffing. I love it. That's one of my favorite things to eat right there.
It's just like a bunch of ground up crap. There's nothing to it.
It's tasty.
I don't understand it. And some people like mac and cheese. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm not a mac and cheese guy.
All day.
I'm with there was someone on Twitter.
Cheesy corn, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, turkey.
It's just cheesy noodles, Tanner. It's all it is.
Okay.
Nothing special
Judd,
about it.
or what's his name? Matt Judd, whatever. That's all the good stuff. You gotta get your croissant rolls with the butter, right?
No rolls for me.
Blow it up, man.
Now, what about your favorite pie? You have a favorite pie for Thanksgiving?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin?
I eat pumpkin.
People are gonna love you or hate you for this one.
Tanner, I eat pumpkin from September.
You're saying some wild things right now.
To the end of November.
So I just picked up a cheesecake for what we're doing tomorrow. So
overrated.
We'll be doing
overrated.
that. Hey, cheesecake's good.
Pumpkin.
It's cheesecake's fine. It's a little different, I guess.
I'll go apple.
You guys
I'll go pear.
Pecan pie.
Pecan
pie's good.
But pumpkin is by far favorite.
All right, I'm going to lay it out for you right now. Thanksgiving food, in my opinion, sucks ass.
That's false.
I hate all of it.
That's false.
Yeah.
Every last thing
Green
sucks.
beans.
Do you not smoke?
It sucks.
Green beans? Oh, yeah.
Okay? Let me lay it out for you right now.
Green bean
So
casserole.
I will eat stuffing. I'm going to eat stuffing. And I'm going to, I'll eat mac and cheese. I don't even know how that
you
got.
love cheese.
Why the hell are we even talking about mac and cheese?
That's
is
Thanksgiving.
Is that a real thing?
It's a Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
Because I'll eat that all day long. But, it's all about the stuffing.
Okay.
After that, maybe a little mashed potatoes. But after that, dude, everything is
Turkey?
ass. Turkey sucks.
What'd they do to you?
Turkey is dry. So
have you never had a smoked turkey?
Nobody did anything to me, dude. My parents offered me all that stuff when I was growing up.
I think
ham
they
sucks. Offered me everything.
Like ham, I think
ham's good too.
And my parents,
Tanner,
dude,
you like everything.
My parents loved all that stuff when I was growing up. I just hated it for whatever reason. It all sucks ass. Okay, cranberry sauce.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a shit. It all tastes like ass. Okay, give me some stuffing.
The veggie platter.
I want and even pumpkin pie. I can't.
Will you guys do the veggie platter? Cauliflower, carrots, celery.
Yeah, but that's not really. That's not
Thanksgiving,
really Thanksgiving.
Too. Is it?
Have a veggie
No,
platter.
it's not.
Yeah, I have a veggie platter. All my events.
Yeah, give me. I can't stand pumpkin pie. It's the nastiest food I've ever had in my life.
What about sweet potato pie?
Oh, that's disgusting.
It's actually pretty good.
Dude, that is so disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Now, in our original text,
I'll give you one. Scallops, scalloped potatoes. Cheesy scalloped potatoes.
Yep.
Those come out pretty dang good.
All day.
So my family knows me well enough to know that I hate Thanksgiving food. So there have been years where they actually bring in either Jack Stack or Joe's Barbecue.
That's a lot better.
Just to appease me because
All
they
right,
know
that's
how much
solid.
I hate Thanksgiving food. They're like, oh, Jason hates it. Let's bring in Jack Stack. Hey,
Barbecue all day.
everybody loves Kansas City barbecue. You
All
can't go
day.
wrong with that for Thanksgiving.
I would do barbecue definitely over any Thanksgiving food. Right.
Mhm.
Now, is there something you guys won't eat? Like outside of meat? Like for me, I can't think of what I won't eat. But
I mean,
is
sure.
there
There's
something-
like, if you walk, you get your plate, you walk around for a minute in the kitchen. Like, there's stuff I definitely skip over.
I'm not going to eat damn turkey. I already told you
If
that.
someone has corn on the cob, I am not touching that shit. Like, what's the point?
corn on the
And me
cob.
sitting there
Ooh,
having-
corn on the cob, dude.
I'm sitting there having to like turn this damn corn.
Now, what if you did this? Right, it's a little bit more effort, but you take the cob, right? You put it on your plate, and then you scrape the corn off, so you don't have to do the
the
rotation.
corn's not worth it.
Ooh.
It's not. The juice is not worth the squeeze on the corn. Damn it. So what's what I'm saying is like, no, it's not the thing.
But here's the thing, guys. I actually do like, believe it or not, corn on the cob, but it's only because I believe the Pilgrims ate it. Yeah, I think
Oh.
the Pilgrims, back when they were on Plymouth Rock and all that bullshit, I'm pretty sure they had corn on the cob.
Oh,
And I do like some corn on the cob for Thanksgiving.
gotcha. Now, going back to what AC said, which game should I eat dinner through?
Yeah.
We've already said the Lions-Bears game at noon. What's the game you guys are most looking forward to for your Thanksgiving game, whether it's NBA, NCAA, or NFL?
I don't know what's on besides NFL. So for me, it's just Raiders Cowboys because obviously the Raiders game matters because we're going to play them coming up December 12th. Cowboys game, we just played the Cowboys, so it's like I'm interested to see
Raiders,
how they
that
bounce back.
happens. Yeah.
See if the Cowboys can bounce back, get a win against the Raiders. And if the Raiders get a win against the Cowboys, then they're still in contention. The Chiefs got to go out and beat them for sure in the 12th, just to keep them off their heels right there. So yeah, that's the most interesting one to me, and probably the most competitive.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, with the NFL, obviously we don't have any NBA games on Thanksgiving, but with the NFL, it's basically anything but the Lions.
Saints.
That's going to I'll take
Saints game
the I'll
probably
take the Saints game, but as long as I don't have to watch the Lions, I'll be good. There's not a lot of good day after Thanksgiving NBA games. I'm just going to throw
Not
that
this
out
year?
there right now. I don't see anything unless you want to watch the Warriors destroy the Trailblazers.
That could be a good Dame Curry matchup.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of good matchups in the NBA.
All right. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. Well, KU plays at 1:30, so that's where my attention's at.
I'm just gonna be traveling between places. Like I gotta go to Houlihan's, and then I gotta go to the girlfriend's family's thing. So like,
Long Island.
I'll probably try to get some Long Island's while I'm there. But like, I don't know. Otherwise, like, I'm gonna try to catch some games while I can. But otherwise, from the sounds of it, like, we'll be busy. And you got to go do the holiday thing where
right.
you
The
you
whole
pay
shebang.
attention. You pay attention to people whether or not you want to. You got to do it anyway.
The whole
That whole
shebang.
deal. So I can't just like go get a plate and sit at the TV. Apparently, I gotta interact and act like you're happy. Damn
You gotta
it.
do something for a minute.
Yeah.
So, well, should we jump into some Chiefs talk, guys?
Of course, my favorite thing.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Chiefs are 7-4, first in the AFC West, 4th seed, technically in the playoffs. What a turnaround it has been in the past 5 weeks. Mike, you've told some different stats here. You told it on our post game show on Sunday after the Dallas win. But like, what else have you seen? Have you looked into with the Chiefs here, going into a bye week? So like, what are we recapping here?
No, just more of like the kind of standout moves that are coming from the linebackers because Nick Bolton leads the NFL in tackles for loss, and Willie Gay's coming in there. Willie Gay being integrated into the defense more, keeps Hitchens on the sideline a little more, which I actually prefer that. And then the corners really Rashard Fenton, number 1 corner in the league as far as Pro Football Focus is concerned, and L'Jarius Sneed is an absolute playmaker. He's actually ranked 4th in the league for Pro Football Focus. The Chiefs have 2 of the top 5 corners in the NFL right now, according to Pro Football Focus. Plus, to go along with Charvarius Ward, who got a big pick at the end of the half on CeeDee Lamb. So, stuff like that's going on. Like, you're rolling right. And the Chiefs were getting pressure with the front four last week, something they haven't really done all year. They got 5 sacks in this game on Dak Prescott. It's the most he's been sacked all season long. And that's going against a pretty good offensive line, obviously. I just think if you can get pressure with the front four and that can be more of a consistent part of your defense, like, that's how you win. That's how you become a very successful team down the stretch of the playoffs, because you don't want to have to blitz every time for pressure. You want to be able to find ways to mix in the blitzes with the fake blitzes and the bailouts,
4-man rush,
and stuff like that. And that's the main thing. I mean, obviously the Chiefs' offense last week had good moments, and then they had a couple goofy turnover. I think they won a turnover. They went right off Kelsey's hands, and it's like, oh my God, here we're still doing this.
You had the Mahomes fumble, right?
2 turnovers, right?
And then you had the Kelsey giveaway.
So just goofy stuff, of course, once again, still going on with the Chiefs' offense this year. But it's also something that's not concerning because, like I said a little bit ago, like, this is a team now. They've proven they can win in different ways. So, if you were to look at the way that the Bills are constructed, like, I don't know if they're going to win a game necessarily again this year that's like 40-35. I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, I can't envision that. But they're also a team, they could probably win a game like 13-10. Because they do have a good defense. Chiefs can win games, whether it's a shootout or whether it's going to be a close, low-scoring game. And they're proving that here over the course of time, I think. That, with the Packers game, they won 13-7. And then this game against the Cowboys, 19-9. And so they're able to win games in different fashions, and they don't always have to be shootouts or blowouts. So, but I think, really this thing's rolling in the right direction. 5 wins in a row, right? 4 wins? 5 wins in a row?
5 wins.
5 wins in a row. And really, Clyde is back in there, so good to have.
We got him in the mix right before the bye, which is nice to see.
Yeah, they're good to have the whole thing together, and they're pretty healthy right now.
Yeah,
I mean, a healthy team.
I think we'll have Niang back probably next week with the bye week. He's been out the last couple of weeks. Remmers still on IR. I think he has 1 more week. And then Kyle Long also got activated as well, so we got some depth on that line again. Finally.
Things are pointing up for the Chiefs, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, Jason, what are your thoughts here as we go in to a bye week here? What are you recapping the last 5 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever?
Well, I do have to throw out the fact that I predicted this run, okay? I said that we were going to have this huge homestand where the only team we would have to play on the road was the Raiders, and we could probably win that.
Okay.
And I just thought to myself, what happens if we win all of those games? Well, you're going to have a totally different landscape in the AFC and in the NFL. But everybody knows that this game was all about the defense, right? You look at the offensive side. I mean, Mahomes, he didn't have a great game, but he also didn't have a bad game either. I mean, he only had the fumble. As far as the interception, nobody in hell is giving him credit for that. That goes to Kelsey all the way. But the thing of it is like Mahomes is going to get better. He can get better. He will get better. And he can very much potentially peak at the right time, which is late in the season in the playoffs. But on the defensive side, guys, it's ridiculous. When we sat here on this show in week 4 or week 5, I don't know when it was, I sat here and told you guys this is the worst defense, not in the league, in the history of the NFL. And now all of a sudden we're sitting here talking about Chris Jones, 3.5 sacks in 1 game, 1 forced fumble, 1 recovered fumble. Charvarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed, both picked off Dak Prescott. And a lot of guys are out there, that's not that big of a deal because they didn't have to go up against Amari Cooper, and then CeeDee Lamb barely played in the game.
Tyrone Smith wasn't at left.
Guess what, guys? I've talked about this before. If you're going to win a Super Bowl or even just make it to the Super Bowl, you got to have a little bit of luck. And so we've had our little bit of luck here. We didn't have to face Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Didn't have to face Amari Pooper, as I like to call him, or CeeDee Lamb for most of the game.
Here's the thing. CeeDee Lamb played that first half, didn't do a damn thing. So
no,
people
he didn't do
talk
anything.
about him not being there. Well, the Chiefs locked him down. He didn't do a damn thing the whole game.
And by the way, we were creating pressure not on the outside either. We were creating on the inside where you have Zach Martin was getting blown up by Chris Jones. Zach Martin,
absolutely,
who is a legit
and a Pro Bowler,
Yeah, Pro Bowler guard, was getting blown up by the guy. It wasn't like we were banging up on their backups. We were going inside where they were healthy, causing pressure.
Yeah, and when I look at this defense, I just think about the fact that nobody's giving them credit.
Correct.
Because Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, not there. Well, guess what? Their confidence is up. And defense as well as offense it's all about confidence. And I don't care what players were in there. The Chiefs defense, their confidence is sky high right now. It's the exact opposite of what it was at the beginning of the year. So doesn't matter, if CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper played or not. The Chiefs' confidence on the defensive side of the ball, and Steve Spagnuolo, he's totally turned it around, as he always does, in the mid-season, late season, playoffs, what have you. But, the Chiefs' defense is, to me, my biggest takeaway from the game, and it just blows my mind. But I do need to give a shout-out to Micah Parsons.
What a beast!
2 sacks, one forced fumble. You guys know I'm not a Cowboys fan by any stretch of the imagination. But is it too early to compare him to a guy like Lawrence Taylor in terms of the history of the game?
I wouldn't go that far, but you could think about maybe some Von Miller comparisons.
Yeah,
that hybrid linebacker, defensive end, and the speed Parsons has.
Oh my!
That's definitely prime Von Miller.
And he almost had that block punt on us where he blew up Amari Watts. To get almost to thousands there. And
he got a jersey from Patrick Mahomes after the game, as a matter of fact.
There you go. Like Parsons, since coming into this league here, he has been nothing but fire as a linebacker. And props to that guy because he does what he needs to do. He'll be good here, really good here in about 2-3 years.
The other thing for me too is just shout out to the Chiefs' offensive line because They're a bunch of big ballers.
It's nice to see guys that are angry and nasty up there.
We haven't had to yell at Andrew Wiley yet in 2 weeks.
True. 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. He came in, filled in at right tackle where he struggled in the Super Bowl, and he has done nothing but phenomenal work. So, props to him. Now, hey, guys, looking ahead here, right? So, we got the Broncos. I got flexed to a Sunday night game recently. We got the Raiders, which Mike gets to go to. We got the Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos to end the season here. How do we feel going into that schedule after this bye week? I feel really confident here. I feel like the Broncos may give us a struggle in the first half just coming off a bye week, but I feel like we'll take care of that. The Raiders, I don't think we'll have a problem. The Chargers could give us a hard time. The Steelers, I feel like we'll take care of. The Bengals, depending where they're at, especially health-wise and where the connection is, that could be a really close game. That could be maybe one extra loss there. But then finishing with the Broncos, I love it. I love the fact that we're ending in this kind of schedule here with a 5-game win streak at the bye. So what's your quick thoughts here as we talk about the Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals?
The Broncos coming up. Here's the thing, you guys. Patrick Mahomes is going to be 9-0 against the Broncos after this season. The last time Denver even beat the Chiefs, for that matter, was the same day I got engaged. And so, not married, engaged. That was September 16th, 2016. It was the last day that the Broncos beat the Chiefs, and that was on some fluky crap from Jamal Charles fumbling. And that was a good omen, or I guess I should say a bad omen, for my eventual marriage. But it's funny just looking at this whole thing. Patrick Mahomes' first ever game as a Chief in his first career was against the Broncos in Denver. Went out there, and it's funny, they actually benched him in the third quarter because they'd seen enough out of Pat, and they thought we had a big enough lead at that point. Put in Tyler Bray. Tyler Bray right away goes out there, screws it all up. Game's close again. Patrick Mahomes plugged in again at the end of the fourth quarter, drives down, and gets a game-winning field goal set up for the Chiefs in that game. Yep. So they end up going out there and beating Denver. And since then, oh, my God, this guy's just destroying the Broncos every game.
I can tell you I had
saying it's going to happen
for dinner
continue.
that night.
Said what?
I can tell you I had Mitskits for dinner that night.
Yeah?
The what you just talked about. I remember that.
I was at Thunder and Buttons in Colorado Springs is where I was at watching that game.
It's a pretty epic
little bar.
I won't forget that game. What do you think of Jason as we go here?
Hey, when I look at that upcoming schedule, all I know is, guys, 3 of the next 4 games are home games. So I don't really care who they're playing. Now, when you throw in those teams, Denver, Las Vegas, I don't really care about those 2 teams. If the Chiefs lay an egg against either one of those teams, I'm going to feel pretty bad about that. But then when you go to at the Chargers, I'm pretty sure we owe them a payback, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we do.
So if we can win the next 2 home games, beat the Chargers, pay them back. Pittsburgh is a home game. Not too worried about them. I see a scenario where we can run the table at least in the next 5 games, because if we win the next 4 and then all of a sudden we go to at Cincinnati, their confidence is going to be through the roof and they're going to destroy Cincinnati. That is not a difficult place to play. And so that's what I look at upcoming. I mean, I don't want to as a Chiefs fan, the worst thing that I want to do right now is try to jinx them. So maybe I should sit here and say they're going to lose a couple games, but I just don't see it. I mean, it could go either way, but if we run the table on those next 5 games, I mean, we're going to be the 1 seed. And like I say, I hesitate to say that. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but it's not outside of the realm of possibilities for the Chiefs to be the 1 seed this year.
I'd say the next 3 games are the most important. They're all division foes. You win those 3, I'm not worried about the next 3 as much.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And to go back to the run the table point, in 2019, the last game the Chiefs lost that entire season was to the Tennessee Titans. And you're saying basically that's going to happen again, because the last loss the Chiefs had 5 weeks ago was to the Titans in a blowout game. And you're saying it could happen. We could have a repeat, is what you're saying, because the defense is peaking at the right time. Just like that season, they started off crap and then came along and ended up getting the wins they needed to get at the end of the season and all the way to the Super Bowl. So you're saying it could happen again.
I mean, all I know is the AFC is kind of junk this year.
It's wide open.
And it's wide open. I don't trust any of those teams outside of maybe the Chiefs and the Patriots. And, it's just AFC is trash. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but I don't trust any of those teams. And, as bad as the Chiefs started out, it doesn't matter. None of those games matter as long as we play well right now.
Correct. And then it's going to be kind of interesting to see. I'm excited to come off this bye week here, especially onto a Sunday night football game now. That's going to be super exciting here. Well, guys, let's finish up the show here. Let's get our updated power rankings out of the way. See how many AFC teams we have in these suckers, right? So,
these suckers.
As I move in here, guys, we got a little music for us too today. So, previous rankings here from Week 10. Obviously, Jason had the Cardinals, Packers, Rams, Bucks, Titans go from 1 through 5. Mike had the Cardinals, Bucks, Ravens, Titans, Packers, 1 through 5. I had the Cardinals, Packers, Titans, Rams, Bucks, 1 through 5. So, this is our previous sports rankings when we enter Week 10 here. Now we're entering Week 12. And what does it exactly look like, guys?
Oh, how things can change. I'm going to start out with number 5. Guys, the 5th best team in the league right now are the New England Patriots. Why? They play great defense. They have a great O-line, great young quarterback. So give me that AFC team. The Patriots is my number 5 best team in the league.
Yeah, my number 5 as well, the New England Patriots as well. They have the best defense in the NFL, and they have the number 2 offense in the AFC, which is hard to believe, but look at the stats, guys.
Man, my number 5 is the team that would beat the Patriots. The Kansas City Chiefs are back in the number 5 spot here. I'd say I put them just barely over the Patriots here. Chiefs are on a 5-game win streak. One of the hottest teams in the league right now, and just continue to looking better and better each week here.
Number 4, guys. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. They are number 1 in the Vegas odds to win the AFC championship right now. So I like to call them the Eastern Conference. I don't know. It's kind of like the NBA, but yeah, AFC sucks, but the Chiefs are the best right now in the AFC, number 4.
No spoilers here, but I think we have the exact same top 5.
Whoa.
So Chiefs are also my number 4 on this list right now, because I like to play to the moment a little bit because they deserve it. I mean, this is the team, and look at the rest of the AFC. You got all those other teams failing. The Titans are crapping themselves. Ravens, you never really know. Bills lost the Jaguars. I'm sorry, guys, can't give it to them. Chiefs are playing hot, playing well, and they got the best quarterback maybe in the NFL still. So, I mean, yeah, Chiefs number 4.
Number 4, guys. I don't want to count them out just yet. Tennessee Titans are sitting at 4 for me. Yes, they did have that horrible against the Texans. they also had a horrible against the Jets earlier in the year, and they came back and still beat the Rams, guys. So I'm not too concerned right now, but I'd say Tennessee Titans at 4 for me going on this list.
Number 3. Guys, at number 3, I got to go with the Tampa Bay Bucks because for me, they've got the best roster in the NFL. They're probably the best team right now in the NFL. They are the number 1 odds right now to win the Super Bowl. I got a couple of NFC teams that I like better right now, but for right now, I got the Bucks at number 3.
Yeah, same ditto to that. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my number 3 because of that talent on defense, as well as Tom Brady. Great ground game, great passing game all the way around. And here's the thing: look at this top 3 teams here we have left. Is this the team that's capable of beating anyone? Yes. The answer is yes. So give me them top 3 for sure.
Number 3 is Tom Brady, Tampa Bay.
TB12.
There's nothing like right now. Antonio Brown is starting to look. He's been sitting him out. He's starting to look healthier. That's gonna be a weapon. The defense is getting a lot healthier. They got a few more guys returning as well in the next couple weeks here. There's no reason why this team is not a top 3 team in this league here.
Number 2. Number 2, guys, I got the Green Bay Packers. And in Aaron Rodgers, we trust. He's always a threat. I don't care what the season is. I don't care what his roster looks like. He's always going to be a threat. I got the Packers at number 2. He's coming off of COVID-19. So I'm going to give him a pass on losing, especially that last game. I don't think he really cares. He's going to get better after coming off of his COVID, and he's going to destroy the league.
Yeah, Packers number 2, of course. So I love it because, this is a good defense the Packers have here to work with. So that's something that they didn't have going in last year in the NFC Championship game. Whenever they lost to the Buccaneers, the defense ended up giving in at the end of that game. And you could say some of that was to do the officiating. But Packers have a good defense and as well as a good running game, whether it's A.J. Dillon does a decent job so far. And it looks like we're going to have a return of Aaron Jones quite as well, too. So Aaron Rodgers, to me, he's still debatable as maybe the best quarterback in the league. That's why I said maybe Patrick Mahomes, because you got Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes. Those are the top 3 in the league. So Packers number 2.
Mike, you also said you wouldn't put the Packers in the top 3 until they got differential. Now they're plus 33.
Yeah.
So there you go. Packers, guys, easy. Aaron Rodgers, even with his COVID, he even took it off and showed his fractured toe, which is worse than turf toe, and the news conference today. So the guy is hurting, but I don't see it affecting him. He wasn't worried about it on Pat's show yesterday. So COVID at number 2.
Number 1. Guys, I'm going to have to go with the Arizona Cardinals because they are 9-2, and Kyler Murray, it seems like he hasn't played since week 4. When's the last time that guy played? He's going to be coming back after the bye week, for whatever reason, they've only lost 2 games. So I do believe in the Arizona Cardinals. They are number 1 in the league as we speak.
Yeah, they're missing DeAndre Hopkins as well. And Colt McCoy, I believe, is 2-1 right now with the Cardinals.
2-1, that is correct.
That is the record. Really good defense, obviously. And offensively, these guys are just solid all the way around. Good coaching. And so, Cardinals are my number 1 team in the league right now.
Look, when you can have a coach your team into with backups, losing your number 1 quarterback, your top 2 wideouts technically, and your starting running back, and you're 2-1 going into a bye week. Yeah, I'd say you're looking pretty damn good.
Hey,
right?
give Kingsbury credit.
That's
100%.
solid. And so that one loss too, right? McCoy did get knocked out and beat up here on that one loss there. So I wouldn't even really count that. If that's the worst case scenario, Arizona. You got all these guys coming back. You'll have these guys back. After
Here's the thing: they might be peaking at the right time too. They're 9-2, but they're going to be peaking because they're getting back Murray and Hopkins coming up here in a week or 2.
You just gave them 3 weeks of rest or 4 weeks of rest with the bye week.
Absolutely.
Right in the middle of the season, you're going to look hot.
I'd rather have a Kingsbury than a Dingleberry.
Amen there,
you got to shave your pubes to get whatever the Dingleberries.
Well, we'll revisit that. We'll revisit that list back here in 2 weeks here, see exactly how that's changed up when we get our updated here. Before we leave, guys, we do got a comment here. Go Chiefs, Casey guy there. He wants to know, start Gallup or Mooney at flex or both, or start both and bench DJ Moore?
Teacher, I have the answer. Okay, start Michael Gallup no matter what here because Amari Cooper is out still. Gallup going against that Raiders defense is going to be beautiful. Trust me, it's hard him quite a bit when CeeDee Lamb went out last week, but this is going to be a thing where the Cowboys want to prove a point. They want to get points on the board. Dak needs to have a better game, obviously. I'm all about Gallup. Mooney's a good player of his own. That's fine, but guys, Gallup is going to be the guy this week. It's going to get all those targets Amari Cooper has been getting earlier in the season.
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely start both. Bench DJ Moore because Mooney is.
Get your
yeah,
that's true.
Start both.
Yeah, start both. I got excited about
what are you thinking, Jason?
No, I want to know if you guys have any thoughts on the LeBron James, Isaiah Stewart suspensions. Because that was kind of a big deal.
Overplayed out situation. There were the NBA's just like, I'm going to suspend everybody and find them all.
I just love the fact that the PA announcer for the Pistons was the same exact guy from back in 2004.
Everything.
And he was literally yelling at the fans to please do not go out on the floor.
Didn't even know about that.
Guys, I do got news here in case you didn't see it for fantasy before we get off here. Ian Rappaport 5 hours ago did rule out Alvin Kamara has been ruled out, and offensive tackle Ryan Ramczyk is also ruled out. Mark Ingram is questionable. So if you got Ingram, or if you need somebody, look at Ingram. He's questionable, but there's still a chance he could play and fill in that spot.
Yeah, good for me because I'm playing against Kamara, so that means he's on the bench, and I'm going to win another game.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes our show today. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, give us a yell. Next week, we are at Mr. Brews once again, guys. December 1st, start time at 7 is what we're aiming for here. There's an Overland Park.
Great place. They have about 50 beers on tap, something along those lines. Great beer selection. If you like IPAs, stouts, lagers, whatever, they have a mixture of everything. So, and their food is top. Their burgers are probably top 3 in the whole 10-mile radius to me.
That's crazy. Yeah, the good food, definitely top beers. So come out for a beer, guys. Listen, talk some sports here. It'll be a fun time. Anything else, guys, before we go?
No, I mean, we got a bye week, so I'm just going to sit around and play with my chili dong, I guess.
Eat a bunch of turkey, assholes. This is Sports Buffoons. We're out.
See you on the next one.
See you guys.